Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive. Before we jump into the madness that is today's topic, please take a quick second to subscribe to Rugby Obsession. We love bringing you these breakdowns, and subscribing is the best way to support us.
Yeah, definitely hit that subscribe button. You really won't want to miss what we have coming up this season.
Absolutely. So picture this. You're staring down a calendar, and over the next few months, you have to fly across 4 different continents, cross like a dozen time zones, and put your body through 14 massive, brutal collisions.
Just an absolute gauntlet.
Right. And that is basically the 2026 Springbok rugby season in a nutshell. I mean, we are less than 3 months away from the opening kickoff, and the countdown is officially on.
It really is. And what's so compelling right now isn't just the sheer size of the schedule, it's the state of the squad that actually has to face it.
Yeah, which brings us to our mission for today. We're looking at this incredibly detailed squad update from the South African. They laid out all the injuries, the surgeries, the expected return dates.
It's an amazing source. Very thorough.
So thorough. So we're going to filter through all this good news, the bad news, and figure out who is actually in, who's out, and how Coach Rassie Erasmus is navigating this adversity. If you're fascinated by high-performance team management, you're going to love this.
Because it's never just, simple math. You can't just plug one player in for another. Every single injury completely alters the physics of the team.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the heavy blows in this report are, well, there's a legitimate crisis in the engine room.
Oh, yeah. The locks.
Yeah, the lock position is severely compromised. First, you've got R.G. Snyman. He suffered a devastating ACL rupture playing for Leinster. He's out for 6 to 9 months.
Which basically wipes his entire 2026 international season.
Exactly. And then it gets worse. Lood de Jager is sidelined for at least another 4 months. He had hip surgery down in South Africa, another really frustrating setback in his 73 test cap career.
It's just brutal luck.
So, think about it like this. Losing both Snyman and de Jager is like a medieval fortress losing its 2 main defensive towers right before a massive siege.
I like that. That's a great way to picture it.
But, I mean, can a team actually maintain its physical dominance when 2 foundational pieces of the pack are ripped away before the season even starts?
What's fascinating here is that losing 2 elite locks doesn't just affect your lineouts. It forces a complete tactical reshuffle for Erasmus.
Right.
Because you're losing the core structural integrity of the scrum.
Hmm.
And we really have to connect this to another grim piece of news from the report. Powerful prop Frans Malherbe is dealing with back and neck issues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they're so serious they're actually threatening early retirement. So when you look at the sheer physical toll of the modern game, I mean, human physiology has become the biggest opponent the Springboks face right now.
It really feels like an emergency room chart rather than a sports roster at this point, which brings us to the rehab ward. We've got a bunch of guys in a race against time.
It's quite a list.
Yeah.
Shoulders, toes, backs.
Yeah, Afiliel Fassi had shoulder surgery in late February. Major doubt for the season opener. Selman Morat had toe surgery, targeting a late May return. And Pieter-Steph is doing intensive rehab for a shoulder op.
The toe surgery for Morat is sneaky, too. You push off that toe in the scrum with thousands of pounds of force. It's not a minor thing.
Right, totally. And with Dutoit, Erasmus expressed, quote, cautious optimism for his return at the season's start. But is cautious optimism really enough to build a reliable game plan around a massive star like that?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at the concept of injury timelines. Having players return in waves like Morat in late May and Fassi later in the season, it actually forces the coaching staff to build dynamic, rotating squads.
So they can't just rely on a static starting 15.
Exactly. It ensures your depth is stress-tested immediately.
Man, that is such a cool way to look at it. Real quick, if you are enjoying this breakdown, please take a second to hit that subscribe button for Rugby Obsession. It really helps us out, and we love having you in the community.
Yes, subscribe. We've got so much more rugby to talk about.
All right, so let's look at the silver lining, because there is some really good news here, too.
Finally, some good news.
Yeah, fresh blood and veteran returns. Faf de Klerk is back in action, looking to prove his fitness for a recall. And Cameron Hanekom, the big number 8, has finally returned to the Bulls after nearly 9 months out with hamstring and knee issues.
And that contrast is huge. Faf brings that veteran stability to calm everything down while they figure out the forward pack.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Hanekom feels like a secret weapon they've kept hidden in the armory for almost a year. Why is his return generating so much buzz for this year and looking ahead to the 2027 World Cup?
Well, because a 9-month injury layoff for a young guy like that isn't just about healing. It allows them to rebuild their bodies to be stronger.
Wait, really? 9 months off isn't just lost time.
Not anymore. Sports science is so advanced now, they aren't just resting him, they are in the lab fixing biomechanical imbalances, adding incredibly dense functional muscle. He doesn't just come back healed, he comes back upgraded.
Wow. An upgraded Hanekom. That's pretty terrifying for the rest of the world.
It's a huge asset for the 2027 cycle, absolutely.
And they're going to need every bit of that upgraded power because we have to talk about this 2026 gauntlet. I'm just looking at the schedule, and it's insane.
It really is punishing.
Okay, so they kick off against the Barbarians on June 20th in Gqeberha, then the Nations Championship in July against England, Scotland, and Wales.
All domestic, but shifting altitude.
Right. But then, August and September, a 4-match series against the All Blacks, which includes a game at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, USA.
Which is wild.
After that, a test against the Wallabies in Perth, then a November tour against Italy, France, Ireland, and finally the finals weekend at Twickenham. So, what does this all mean? With an injury list this long before the season begins, is this schedule physically sustainable for any squad?
This raises an important question, because that 14-match gauntlet spanning 4 continents is exactly why cultivating that massive depth is pure survival. You just can't physically play the same guys in South Africa, fly them to Baltimore, and then drag them to Perth.
Yeah, the jet lag alone. I mean, going from Baltimore to Perth is brutal.
It shatters your circadian rhythm and spikes inflammation, which is the absolute enemy of recovery. That USA match against the All Blacks is a huge commercial expansion, which is great for the sport.
Yeah, for sure. Massive market.
But it adds this huge logistical and physical burden. That's why those returning injured players like Morat and Rassie are critical. You can parachute them into the squad later in the year with fresh legs.
Right. They haven't been dealing with the cumulative travel fatigue all season.
Exactly.
Which is a massive balancing act for Rassie Erasmus. So just to recap for you guys listening, the Springboks have to navigate these devastating long-term losses like Snyman, manage the rehab race for stars like Du Toit, and somehow integrate these returning wildcards like Hanekom.
All while crossing 4 different continents.
Exactly. And looking at this sprawling injury list alongside that travel schedule, it leaves you with a pretty provocative thought. Are we approaching a breaking point in modern rugby where sheer squad survival matters more than tactical brilliance?
That's the million-dollar question. At what point does the human body simply say no to the demands of the international calendar?
Yeah, it's something you definitely want to keep in mind as we watch this season unfold. We'd absolutely love to hear what you think about this, so please drop your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Do you think this schedule is too much? Let us know.
Yeah, we read all the comments, so definitely chime in. And don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession.
Yes, please subscribe. Thank you for listening to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.